Today I'm going to talk about how I move water around my homestead. If you've been following along, this horse shelter might look familiar. You can see the round pen in the background there, and I moved the horse shelter from there to here. The round pen is going to come over here as well. And this is 150 feet away from the water tower. So how do I get water from there to here without having to come out here and turn the water on all the time? Before we get ahead of ourselves, I'm going to show you real quickly how the water gets around the homestead, and then I'll show you how I set this up, because I just moved my horse's waterer over to the shelter. Hey buddy. At face value, some people seem to think that it's an oxymoron to pump water up. You got to use electricity to pump water up to the tower just to use it to distribute water around the homestead. But there's a reason that just about every major city has a water tower. A great example for me is I run everything on solar power. So at the very climax of the day, once all the systems are 100%, that's a good time to run the pump to move water. I have a cistern underground here, and I have one behind the agricultural shed there. And I can run the solar system that runs the pump, and it's free energy because I'm already at 100%. And so it's just using the free energy to pump water up to the tower. And once the water's up there, I have about a week's worth. That 330 gallons lasts me about a week. And that means that all of these waterers are permanently 24/7 topping themselves off. So as the animals drink water out of here, I have float valves inside that automatically top them off. So each one of these pig pens has its own waterer, and they automatically top themselves off, which I'm telling you is super convenient. And even the dog bowl here just has a waterer sitting in here. My dogs are well trained, so they don't knock that out of the container, but if you had a dog that wanted to paw that out, it could empty your whole system. So you'd want to rig something up where that's in a solid position like the rest of these. So I'm going to show you the submersible cistern pumps that I use to pump water up to the tower there. So this is a 1/2 horsepower water pump from Jeff Like, model SP550. God, it doesn't say on it right here, but I think it does. 2,640 gallons an hour. And of course that varies depending on how far the water has to be pumped. This is the Jeff Like water pump, model SP550, and 100 foot of their hose. It's easy to operate, ultra quiet, powerful, and the suction comes from the bottom of the submersible pump. I'll put a link down below. These guys were nice enough to send in the pump and the hose to help me out with my horse pen setup. The specs on this pump are 1/2 horsepower output. The construction of the casing is thermoplastic. It's 110 volt at 60 hertz. Max is 2,640 gallons an hour. Discharge size is 1 1/4 inch NPT. The cord is 10 foot. It can pass solids up to 1/8 inch, and it's the SP550. I specifically used this water pump and the 100 foot of hose that they had provided to move water from my newest cistern over to the waterer for the horse when I just set it up. And of course the hose is a little kinked at first. That's just because they wrap them real tight. But once you unspoil it, you can see it unrolls nicely, rolls back up nicely. And the pump worked really quickly to fill the waterer. My cisterns are about 6 feet deep, so it goes 6 feet up to the ground level, and then it's about 20 more feet to the top of the water tower. Most of the time, because it's not a problem for my solar system, well, I have a float switch up in the water tower. So once the water tower gets full, it turns the power off to the pump. And once it gets to a point, it's 330 gallons. When it gets down to about 50 gallons, it activates the pump, and it'll just continue to do that system about once a week. But I can disconnect it and just plug it in directly when I want to or whatnot. You could do that. I just have it pretty well automatically going all the time. This geothermal greenhouse is automatically watered from the water tower. It's on a timer. This greenhouse is automatically watered as well. I water these hugelkulturs by hand, but the 6 rows of potatoes, those are automatically watered. And that all comes from the water tower here. So all of that runs down here. I have 3 different zones on timers. And then, so this is for the auto waterers. This is for a hose that I can just water with whenever I want to. And this will be for the horse water. So right now this is in the container for the horse water, but it doesn't have a float valve on it. So I can't leave it open or it'll overflow. This is how we're gonna get. We've got a 100-foot hose here. This is from the same company that I got that pump from. So it runs all the way along here. And then I needed to add another 50-foot hose at the end here. So I have 150 feet, and that goes into the waterer there. We just need to install another one of those little float valves that will automatically fill the waterer for the horse when it gets empty. Well, it'll never get empty. It'll only go about 4 inches lower and then top it off, and it'll stay that way.
Well, I was sitting in a coffee shop just having a cup to pass the time.
Hopefully that helps somebody out that might be looking for a frugal option to distribute water amongst their homestead. It has been really nice to have everything automated, that's for sure. And I've had the horse for a month and I've been watering him manually the whole time, so now I won't have to do that. And each little chore you take out of the equation like that just makes it a lot easier to run a little homestead like this. Well, subscribe if you want to learn more about my homestead. I'll put a couple videos up you can go check out, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. I tried to get these guys to sit all cute like, but they're too silly.